Hello, so today we're going to be going over a Visionary CHEM Baron game. So I'm going to be commentating through it, explaining my thought process throughout the video. Before I do so, I just want to say, make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content. I know VOD reviews are a little bit less popular, but I do get requested to do VOD reviews and to go over different games. I think I even had somebody ask me to do a CHEM Baron style game like this, so I did want to show this to people just to like make it a little bit more accessible. Of course, guides will return and guides will be a staple of the channel, so if you do like that content, don't worry, it will still be there. But for today, it's just going to be a VOD review. Now, I know it'll be a little bit distracting, but I guarantee if you watch the video, it will disappear because your eyes will filter it out. There is the thing that says, I will read chat after games. This was a game that I was playing on stream. When I play on stream now, I have the message that says, I'll play games, or I'll read chat between games. It's just because I have chat closed currently because I'm trying to climb as much as I can in these last couple of days of the set. So, my bad. Sorry about that. I couldn't filter it out because I forgot to filter it out the proper way when I recorded the VOD, so we're just gonna ignore it and it'll disappear from your eyes. Trust me, by the end of the video you won't even notice it's there. But anyways, let's get into it. So this is a game where I'm gonna probably play around CHEM Baron Visionary. So CHEM Baron Visionary is a very reliable and very strong comp where you basically play Visionary, 6 Visionary around the 3 CHEM Baron core, and you're not relying on hitting a Giga CHEM Baron cash out, but rather just hitting a smaller 300 or 400 cash out and then converting that into a top 4 or even a win. So I started with the augment choices. I have Shop Glitch. So Shop Glitch I take almost always if you're playing around CHEM Baron, because it's really easy to hit those higher CHEM Barons. Especially like with the Shop Glitch, because a lot of times it's very easy for you to find an extra copy of the unit. It works really well with Visionary because a lot of times if you're trying to reroll some of the units, you can gather a lot of copies to reroll them. And I think the augment itself is just broken in most situations. So I take Shop Glitch here. There was options to take other things that look really broken, like Gloves Off, and I think I passed it. But if you look at my spot, I don't have any copies of Vander, I don't have any copies of family units, and my items aren't very good for Vander. You know, I have 1 sword, but I have no gloves, and I have no slammable item for him. So I just decided to commit to my CHEM Baron opener because I had a Renata and I had a Renni, so I'm pretty sure that, you know, it's fairly likely that I'll find a Singed at one point or a Smeech. So I'm just going to play around this and we'll see how it goes. Now I'm starting with a Tier and a Sword. I could make Shojin and play around Silco and just play like dedicated CHEM Baron, but being dropped a Tier already, I might just want to play around Visionaries. Visionaries is really strong to play around, and basically what you do is you play 6 Visionary with CHEM Baron. The board will look something like, let me find it. Here we go. The board will look something like this for everybody that's interested. Basically, of the CHEM Barons, you just have to play these 3, Visionary, Bruiser, and Sentinel, Renni, Singed, and Renata, and then you just play Vertical Visionary. And the idea is that you cash out CHEM Baron that synergizes with your Visionary board. You can play either Morgana or Vex, or if you have a Visionary emblem, then you can drop one of the units. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to cash out, ideally, a frontline CHEM Baron item, which you then put on a 3-star Renni. The CHEM Baron cash outs are around 300 and 400 or even 500. A lot of times they give you multiple copies of Rennies. Some of the other cash outs that are a little bit smaller, like the 100, 200 cash outs, give you duplicators often. So it's very easy to take some of the small cash outs and easily hit a Renni 3, either by getting copies of the Renni or getting duplicators to duplicate the Renni. Additionally, you can also go for Singed 3, but usually you're going for primary tank Renni 3. And you're playing this comp on level 8. You're trying to make it to level 8. And then, you know, until you find a Malzahar, you're just going to play a Vex. And you play 6 Visionary, which then Giga heals this Renni. It stalls out forever. Heimer scales. He does an insane amount of damage. You can play this with Morgana reroll, but typically it's better to put items on Malzahar and Heimerdinger once you have them upgraded. The only time Morgana is better is if you have certain augments like no scout, no pivot, for example, or if you have like blue buff Gunblade, where the Morgana gets a little bit more value off of it. There's situations where it's okay to keep items on the Morgana, but once you have Heimerdinger, a lot of times it's better to move the blue buff and those items onto Heimerdinger. So going back to the game, the main reason I'm angling towards this comp and not the other one is that it's really hard to win streak, or sorry, it's very hard to lose streak with CHEM Baron and actually like convert it to a 500 cash out unless you get 4 CHEM Baron in. So right now I have 3 Chem Baron in, and I really need a Smeech. So if I get a Smeech, then it's really easy to get to 500 starting 2-1 with Chem Baron. However, if I don't get a Smeech early and I don't get the Smeech counting up the Chem Baron, then I'm just gonna be too close to lethal HP threshold for me to actually risk going to 500, right? And if you have to take a cash out, a lot of times a 300 is a good middle ground. Often it's very hard for you to be like 1 life taking a 300 cash out, and also a 400 cash out sometimes can grief you. I've been griefed by 400 cash outs before, so I usually cash out at 300 if I don't get a Smeech early. That's the game plan. Looking at my items, as you can see, I'm first pick. I just take a tier because I want to guarantee having a blue buff. So I have 1 tier already. It means it's going to be harder for me to get dropped another tier. I could get dropped another tier, who knows? But I want to make sure that I guarantee a blue buff because I'm either going to be playing Morgana carry or I'm going to be playing Heimerdinger carry. So if you look at my bench, look at my board, I'm just purposely trying to lose these rounds. You're going to notice that on a couple of these rounds, I will be scouting different boards. The reason I'm scouting is, number 1, I want to guarantee that I'm the weakest player to make sure that I continue my lose streak. And number 2, I want to try and position in such a way that I still try to kill at least 1 unit. So as you can see here, I could play the Morgana. There are some other boards that are relatively weak, so I'm a bit scared to play Morgana. I scout now. I think I'm in the clear, but there is one person who is also trying to lose streak or trying to open their board as much as possible. So here, my positioning is a little bit bad, a little bit of a sloppy round, if I have to do say so myself. But the idea is that we're trying to lose gracefully. We're trying to lose while killing as many units as possible. This guy had really strong units and upgraded units, so it's hard for me to kill anything, but it didn't help that I was targeting the Steb first. So we might notice, hopefully, if I'm a good player, I'll probably scout a little bit better in these upcoming turns. So let's see, I'm fighting maybe this guy. Okay, so judging by all 3 of those people that I scouted, I want to position all my units on the right side as much as possible. So as you can see, I'm going to cluster a majority of my units on the right hand side. This guy now moved some of his units, so it's a little bit more awkward. But either way, I'm not going to upgrade this Singed, and I'm not going to play the Morgana, just because I want to guarantee that I lose here. There's a lot of times where at the last minute, sometimes people like sell their board or alternate units on their board to try and grief the Chem Baron player. That is a common thing. So because I'm already at 4 loss here, I want to guarantee my 5 loss and just make sure that I guarantee at least this stage being full loss to make sure that I get as much HP as possible, get as much gold as possible. So we're basically starting the game at 71 HP. My econ isn't very good because these Rennies are very expensive. Here I'm going to level to 5. I accidentally pumped an extra level. So these are the things that are absolutely catastrophic. So if you look here, this extra level pump is going to put me in a disastrous spot. Now, you might look at it and think like, oh, well, why did you level to 5? Why don't you just roll on 4 odds? Well, I want to have a good odds of finding a Smeech here if I'm playing dedicated Chem Baron. I also want to ideally find some higher cost units because those are going to be more important for my board. So what I want to do is I want to level to 5 here, which only requires 1 pump of EXP. But as you can see, I double click here. Or sorry, I double clicked because I clicked a little bit early. So like, if you see, it's 4 out of 10. So watch. I jumped the gun a little bit. This is just bad gameplay. So you see, I started pumping XP here, but I didn't get the 2 XP that you get at the start of the round yet, because technically the round didn't start because I'm still in the teleport animation. So then I press the button again, and then I get the 2 XP, and then it adds up to 4 extra, which means I pumped an extra 4 gold that I didn't need to pump. Now, that's pretty bad, because if you look here, now shop glitch is going to activate. So my shop's going to be rolling. I'm going to be buying a bunch of units. Now, I am going to hit a lot of units on this roll down, which is going to be very awkward. So as you can see, we're going. I'm finding a lot of copies of Morganas. I'm finding copies of Rel. I have this Renni, which I have to upgrade because I know Renni is going to be on my final board. So every single Renni is worth a lot. These extra copies of Singe. Singe is on final board. Renatas, or sorry, Rels that I'm finding. But as you can see, because I pumped that 4 XP, I can't reasonably make econ here without selling a lot of key units. So I hold on to all this stuff. The Krugs drop 0 gold, right? It says 0 gold Krugs. So now I'm at 20. I'm at 20 gold, level 5. I could have been at 30 gold because if if I didn't pump the extra 4 XP, I would have sold like 1 copy of Rel and both copies of Morgana, because I don't really need Morgana 3, and I would have made 30. I think it's arguable that because of that mistake, I should have just sold my bench anyways. I could have sold both Rels, the Morgana, and the Renata and make 30. Not being at 30 gold here is horrendous, to say the least, because I am so broke. I am so unbelievably broke. If you look at this guy, I'm level 520 gold. Look at the guy across from me. He's level 550 gold. Now, he did take an econ augment to start, and I took an augment that caused me to upgrade my unit, so my board value is more expensive than his, yes. But that's just to show you how far behind on gold I am. Now, obviously, that was a mistake. A lot of it came from me just clicking 1 extra time on the pump EXP, but it happens to everybody. You know what? You play 600 games, you know, 1 out of 20 games, you're going to make a mistake. Originally, I was just going to show this one to the members only videos because of the mistake. I said, I don't feel like dealing with like the mainstream YouTube, because everybody's going to, the whole peanut gallery is going to start throwing peanuts at me, you know what I mean? So, but then I decided this game's fun enough, you know, and a lot of people ask me for VOD reviews, so I'm just going to show it to you guys. You know, if you make mistakes like that, it's catastrophic a lot of times. The only reason it's not catastrophic right here is because I'm playing Chem Baron. Like, that's the genuine truth. Because I'm playing Chem Baron, I'm probably going to be fine. That's just how it is. So as you can see here, I'm going to reforge 1 sword. I'm going to start to slam items, because right now I'm level 530 gold. I'm probably going to be stuck on level 5 for a while this stage now. A lot of the problems are because it was a 0 gold Krugs. So relatively speaking, most of the lobby is broke, but because it was a 0 gold Krugs and I made the mistake with the EXP pump, I'm very broke. Like, astronomically broke, right? Like, if you look at me, I'm 30 gold. This guy's level 6, 20 gold. But that's just like a little idea, right? He's level 6, 20 gold, and he has an econ generation tool. So, like, the whole lobby's kind of broke. So, you know, it's bad, but it's not really bad, but it's like, okay. The problem is it's just risky. The other thing that's really important to note is that with my entire shop glitch, I didn't find a single copy of Smeech. So remember what I was saying before? If you find a copy of Smeech, then you can play towards a 500 cash out. Here, I didn't find a copy of Smeech, so I'm going to be playing for 300 cash out. Usually, I make the decision at this point, right? If you look here, how many losses do I need to take? Without a Smeech, it means that I only get 35 per loss, which isn't that much shimmer. What I really want is a Smeech, because then I would get 50 shimmer per loss. 50 shimmer per loss would mean that I need to lose 6 times with 50 HP. It's doable to get to 500. Even from this point, it's technically doable to get there. You'll be like maybe 1 HP, but if you manage your fights well and you play really, really well, you can get there. Right? A good player will be able to get to 500 from this point. The problem is, I don't have a Smeech. I didn't find it with the shop glitch, so it's a little bit unfortunate. So we're just going for 300. Maybe 400, but probably just 300. 300 means we have to lose 3 more times. Right? So we lose 3 more times, and then we get our 300 cash out. That's the idea. Then we will have, like, you know, a little bit of HP to work with, so we don't have to, like, completely convert to a win instantly. But it should be fine. And with a 300 cash out, what we're hoping to see is ideally a tank Chem Baron item and copies of Renni. It's very common. It's not uncommon. You're actually more likely to see stuff that works on Renni. I think like 3 or 4 out of the 8 items are good in general for Renni, I think, of Chem Baron. So you're okay generally, but just to be safe. You want to have like a leeway. A lot of times when you're playing this variation of the comp, it helps to have a little bit of extra HP, because if you look at your 300 cash out, you're like, oh, this is shit. You can still go to a 400 cash out and then like test the waters, right? So you don't have to worry about just getting the exact, like, you know what I mean? Does that, you get what I'm trying to explain it in a way that makes sense? Like, you want to cash out 300 or 400, but you want to have a little bit of wiggle room. That's why you really want to have the Smeech earlier, because even if you're not going to go for 500 cash out, you want to have enough HP to say to yourself, oh god, this 300 cash out is dog shit. Let me go to a 400 cash out to make sure that I get a tank item and I can play around this Renni. That's like the idea. So here I find the Silco on carousel. I just take the Silco on the carousel because I need to guarantee, I want to have a little bit better wiggle room. I don't think it really matters, but it could make it that I can just win a round instead of losing both rounds. So that's why I start slamming my items here, because with the Silco, I should be able to like lose one, win one, and still be able to cash out. So as you can see here, I'm starting the game at 30 HP. I am sacking a little bit more aggressively than you might want to. I understand that, but I just don't want to get my Chem Baron griefed. So I'm just making sure that I actually convert this, because I know for sure that I'll be strong enough to win out from after this. But here I'm going to start slamming items. Right, I'm at 290, so I can effectively win the next round. Sword, I'm just going to make a Shojin. It's okay to make double mana generation on Visionaries, because they just get so much value off of it. But it's that I'm going to transfer it over to a different unit anyways. So late game, I'm probably going to have blue buff on Heimerdinger. Blue buff on Heimerdinger. I'm going to have Shojin on, what's the other? Malzahar, right? So I'm going to move the second item. But here I slam all my items. If I lose this round, it's okay. If I win this round, it's also okay, because I'm just going to take the 300 cash out and run. Ideally, we win this round, just so that I get my cash out on neutral rounds and I can not have to worry about it. But it doesn't look like I'm going to win this round because the Maddie just sniped my Morgana, but it's fine. So we're 25 HP. Usually with Chem Baron, when you're going to do your cash out, you can often set yourself up so that you're going to win the last round, like how I was planning on doing here, just to make sure that you have as much HP as possible. So here, I get tank Chem Baron item. So now we're playing for first. A little bit lucky, yes, but we got the Rennies, which are great. Shop glitch is going. I'm not rolling here. It's my shop glitch augment. So I'm just gathering Rennies. I pumped levels to 7 here just to make sure that I'm okay. And we should expect to get a bunch of gold on this neutral round, because we got a 0 gold Krugs. So there's going to be some kind of gold drop here. So we should be okay. So our econ's going to recover. We'll be fine. It's all good. As you can see, we get a bunch of gold. And I'm very close to Renni 3, right? I'm 2 off of the Renni. And I have Morgana 3. So Morgana 3 to stabilize. This is why I really like Shop Glitch in these lines. You have multiple outs. Either you hit the Chem Baron early so that you get your Renni and your Smeech, or you hit your copies of the unit that you need. So in this case, I'm 1 off of Renni now. I'm also like 2 off a Singe, so I can even go for a Singe 3. And you also have the outs of hitting Renata 3 and Morgana 3, and even Vex 3. Depending on your spot, which gives you a good point of stabilization to make sure that you don't absolutely get boomed right after you cash out. So as you can see, I'm stable around this Morgana. Once I have a Heimer 2 and a Malzahar, I can then stabilize around those units. This Renni is not going to die. Now, of my last items, I either want to make a Shiv or a guard. I want to make a Shiv, or I want to make a Giant Slayer, but I probably just want to hold off on these components just to make sure that I can make Shred. So I want to make a Shiv eventually, because right now I have no Shred on my board. But as you can see, level 750 gold. Our econ got reestablished. It's fine. It was a very poor game, but it's okay. We'll make it to the end. Here, I'm just looking for anything that gives me some level of combat. So Inspiring Epitaph makes sense here. Just get a shield that can transfer onto multiple units. Level to 8 and do a slight roll down. I'm looking for 6 Visionary, basically. So in order to hit 6 Visionary, I need the Heimerdinger. And then I put in the Vex. Bang, we're 6 Visionary. 6 Visionary activates the healing on the damage that we do. So that's totally good. That's totally amazing for us. I have this Morgana 3, but I'm still going to roll deep because I just need to find 1 copy of Renni. And we find it. So I sell the extra units. Renni 3, Morgana 3 is going to be my stabilization point. And we shouldn't really lose a single round right now. We're going to be strong for the entirety of stage 4. This is the tempo, or this is what you usually want to see when you're playing around Chem Baron Visionary. Now, if I manage my econ a little bit better, I would probably have a little bit more gold to ideally roll for like a Heimer 2 here, or like stabilize around the Heimer with the items. Often you're okay. A lot of times you don't have Renni 3, and sometimes in the worst case scenario you don't have a Chem Baron item on Renni. In those cases, it helps a lot to have Renata 3, because the item that you have is usually going to be an item that Renata can use. And if you have an item that neither Renni or Renata can use, then you're just up shit creek and it's just fucked. And I don't know what to tell you, because I've been in spots like that and I just go 8th, but it's very unlikely is what I will tell you. I think there's like a it's like a 15% chance or something. I forget the exact number, because you have to like modify the Chem Baron cash outs and like actually math it out. But it's like, it's not likely that you're going to have a really bad game where you can't do anything. You know, the only one, there's one that's like really bad. Like the only time you really lose when you're playing Chem Baron is like I had a Chem Baron game where I got a 500 cash out and it gave me one perfected item, which was Executioner Blade, and then it gave me 3-star Renata and 3-star Singed. That one is the worst cash out, because that one, you're a 500 cash out, you're usually 1 life, and then you get one of the worst fucking items in the game, and sometimes it could be a Flesh Ripper. I've had it before that it gave me a Flesh Ripper. Like, that's when it's bad. But for these cash outs, it's fine, because the Visionary line is stable. Even like the Chem Baron item helps a lot, and the Chem Baron losing helps a lot to stabilize your board, to make your board really strong. But it's not essential, is what I'm trying to get at, right? If you don't have an item on Renni, it's not the worst thing in the world, because a Renni 3 and 6 Visionary is still going to be relatively stable in this board. But this is generally how you play it. You just try and lose, you get your 300 cash out, you don't have to go for a 500, just go for a 300 or maybe even a 400 cash out, and then you just chill. Here I had Shop Glitch, so I stabilized around the Morgana upgrade, but ideally you want to go for Heimer 2. Now on Carousel, I got myself a Malzahar. Malzahar is just really important. As you can see here, I'm just still rolling. I'm just rolling to 0 every turn looking for this Heimerdinger. I want to make sure that I'm stable. Until I have Heimer 2, I'm going to be worried that, like, you know, there's no reason for me to rush to go level 9 right now. I want to make sure that I'm as stable as possible because I'm so low on HP. As soon as I hit this Heimerdinger 2, then we're good to go. I'm Heimer paired, so I'm 1 off of Singe 3, so I'm rolling for multiple things here. Right, whenever you spend gold on rolling, you can't just be rolling for one thing. It always has to be rolling for at least 2 things. That's just a good habit. So, you know, if I hit Singe 3, that's a good spike. If I hit Heimer 2, that's an insane spike. And then we're in a good spot. This guy's a little bit scary because I don't know what that was. Was that a Savika? Did you see how my Renni just got moved all the way to the far corner? I had a little mini heart attack when I was fighting this guy for the first time. I was like, what just happened there? Because whenever my tank isn't in front of when my tank is not in front of my carry, it is stressful. It is like, what's going on? What's going on here? But anyways, we look here. I don't have much gold to roll for an anomaly, but I'm pretty flexible on what I'm going to take. Basically anything that's either AP, Magic Expert. I should maybe take a Magic Expert. I hit Center of the Universe. That's just Giga broken, so we just take that. Here, I hit the next Chem Baron cash out, which gives me a Salvage Revolver, which who cares about, but it gives me 2 Singe, so now I have a Singe 2. So now I have, now I have a Singe 3. So we're good to go. I'm going to roll for this Heimer, but I find a Malzahar, so like, I guess that's good. Now I'm just always going to roll to 0 because I'm Malzahar and Heimerdinger paired, so it just is what it is. I'm not sure if the items are better right now on Malzahar. I could make a Nashor's Tooth, but I don't want to because I want to hold on to this this bow for a Shiv. Because I want magic shredding for this game. Yeah, but Center of the Universe, it's an instant click always. If you ever see Center of the Universe, you'll always take it. It's so much extra damage. It's always good to take. It doesn't matter what your comp is, you put it on a backline unit and you put them in the back and the middle, and it just does so much extra chip damage. It is just so it just is. You just always take it. You always take it. There's never a reason not to take it. There's very few things you can roll that are better than it. I'm drinking some water. This guy's scary as well. I just see him executing my backline. But we're good to go. Great game so far. I don't expect we're going to lose any rounds. I'm still going to be rolling to 0 every turn for the Heimer and the Malzahar. Because it's like, you know, it is what it is. I have Shop Glitch anyways. So like on neutral rounds, I'm going to get like a bunch of extra shops to see these units. But I just want to make sure that I don't lose any rounds on stage 4. But ideally here, we're going to hit the Heimerdinger. Holding on to a 5 cost because maybe it helps me hit the other 5 costs. Who knows? And what do you know? We hit Malzahar too. So now it's chalk. Now we have an actual backline carry. This Morgana unit, sometimes she's a little bit fake. Sometimes she just like doesn't do that much work. Especially without Gunblade. I really don't have faith in her without Gunblade. But yeah, Shop Glitch. I didn't hit the Heimer, but I hit Malzahar. So you know, it is what it is. We got one of them. So I'm going to transfer all my items over to the Malzahar. I'm going to take Tier here to make Shiv. Right, I've been holding out to make Shiv for a while. The other items aren't going to be that pretty. obviously, but Magic Shred is so important to optimizing the board that you just need to make it. So I'm gonna make Shiv here. I think Malzahar is better at spreading Morello because of how he hits the backline unit. So I'm just gonna put double casting on the Malzahar with the Morello. And I'm gonna make a Bloodthirster for Singed. It's fine. It's like kind of a frontline item, so it is what it is. It'll be fine, right? It's not the best item I can make, but given my components, I just think that Shiv is way more important than anything else. Ideally, eventually, what I want to do is I want to take one of the magic casting items that are on the Malzahar, specifically the blue buff. I want to move it onto the Heimerdinger once I have a Heimerdinger 2, and I want to put a damage item on Malzahar. You don't need this much mana generation, especially if you're Visionary. It's okay. It's okay as a Temple Slam. It's okay in your mid game, but you want to make 1 mana generation per unit and then damage items. So I want a damage item in place of the blue buff. And then I'm going to put 3 items on Heimerdinger, 3 items on Malzahar. The Morgana falls off late game. Late game, the fights last not as long, and the less time the fight lasts, the less value the Morgana has. And she's also a little bit less damage output overall. Like, Malzahar does everything Morgana does, but a little bit better. So if you're not playing like a dedicated reroll line where you have like a good reroll enabler, late game it's going to be better to just put all your items on the Malzahar instead of the Morgana. I think only if you have like perfect Morgana items does she really unlock a different kind of potential. So if you have like blue buff Gunblade, I think it's a little bit better on her. Just like the way that she works, she just like sometimes ramps up a lot of damage and gives a lot of survivability for your team. So, but other than that, always put your items on Malzahar. And now we're just going to go 9. I'm no longer rolling, right? I rolled really aggressively on stage 4. I just wanted to make sure that I got past the hurdle of not having like, I had a giga strong frontline unit in the form of this Renni, but I wasn't sure about my backline unit, so I wanted to make sure I had my upgraded backline unit. So I was rolling really aggressively because I didn't want to drop to 1 life. Because I'm already really low HP, and now we're just going to convert that to a win. I had really good Anomaly as well. I did roll past the AP one, which maybe was a little bit risky, but in my head I said to myself, I'm pretty open to what I can hit. I think that one wasn't good enough, and I had like 7 or 8 more gold to roll, so I was like, I'm going to risk it to get something a little bit better. The AP one wasn't that great because I don't have many AP items, right? If I had like an Archangels, for example, it would probably be like an okay thing to take. But because I have like Morello, Shojin, blue buff, it's like I don't have AP. So getting 40% more AP doesn't really matter in that case. But yeah, now we just convert the win. But this is what I mean. Do you see how this Renni is unkillable? This is kind of what ends up happening a lot of the times when you're playing around this Chem Baron Visionary line. Now, I think this Visionary line is pretty mid if you don't have Chem Baron. I've tried it out a lot. I think I overvalued how strong it was based on the patch notes. But if you don't have a Malzahar, this line really fucking sucks. So you can't play it from behind. It's very difficult to play. So you really need to play the Chem Baron variation, especially if you're not playing from like a strong opener. Because until you have a Malzahar on your board, this 6 Visionary comp does not function like it does not function correctly. The only time it functions well is if you're playing around Morgana 3 with like the blue buff Gunblade, because you have enough sustain and stability with the Morgana 3 blue buff Gunblade and a 3-star frontline unit. But I swear, I've played this comp a lot, and every single time I do not have this, like, it's just bad. It's just so bad. Here I take Guardbreaker on Carousel. Guardbreaker is just a really good item. If you don't think it's a good item, then you're wrong. And you gotta reevaluate how you're evaluating your items. Guardbreaker, giga good. So just amazing Malzahar item I can put on him right now. Gives him a lot of damage amp, as well as gives him a lot of base stats, which is just great for him. So I still keep the Morello on the Malzahar, because you always want to have 3 items on him. I think Morello is a little bit better than blue buff, just because he spreads it really well, and he's going to do a lot of extra damage to the backline by applying the anti-heal. But as you can see, the Malzahar just spreads the crystals everywhere and just kills everybody. So that's great. My backline was pretty susceptible to dying here, but my Renni is still pretty much full health, so that's pretty good. And this guy's really strong, by the way. This guy's like a giga level 9 emissary Sorks, everything upgraded, and we're just like steamrolling through this lobby. We hit Heimer 2. That's great for us. So now we have actual 2 proper damage dealers. It was gonna say that the, by the way, you're gonna see that the Renata is doing a bunch of damage. It's not like some broken Chem Baron item or anything like that. It's the center of the universe. It does it as magic damage, so she's just doing a lot of damage, basically. If you look at my backline here, I'm gonna be spreading it out. Now, you might look and you might be like, why is he spreading out his backline so weirdly? There is a Caitlyn in the lobby, and if you don't know, Caitlyn hits adjacent units with, like, an explosion. So I want my units to be spread out nice and spread as much as possible, because I just don't want the Caitlyn to just, like, devastate my backline by, like, hitting one unit and then, like, collateral killing everybody else. So I'm separating my backline units as much as possible. Frontline I don't really care about too much because they're tanks anyways. But ideally you also spread out your frontline a little bit. I'm always worried to spread out my frontline because if I don't clump my frontline, sometimes the weaker frontline units die, and then I get an awkward wrap, and then they're in my backline, and then I just lose the fight because, like, somebody got a weird situation. So instead I'd rather just, you know, play like this. Here, I leveled to 9 here on neutral round because I am shop glitch. You might have forgotten because it's been a while, but shop glitch, we're still shop glitching. So this is why I really love this augment. It has value throughout the entire game. A lot of the other reroll augments, they lose a lot of value late game. But here, shop glitch is still great because, as you can see, I'm stage 6 or going into stage 6, and now I'm level 9, and I get like 12 free rerolls on level 9, which is amazing. As you can see here, I'm going to be holding Jace and Elise, but basically I'm probably just going to play Jace here. Jace, to me, is a great unit to just shove on a board if you're just looking for a +1. Ideally, I hit a 6 cost, right? It is, I think this encounter is Victor's Vision. Maybe I'm wrong, but, like, in my head, I think it's Victor's Vision. But ideally, I'm looking for either a 6 cost that I can play, or a Jace, because Jace will give me the Crystal, and the Crystal is basically +1 frontline unit, is basically a respawning target dummy. So I don't really care about the Crystal buffs, as, like, you know, to get the attack speed or whatever, or the frontline shielding or whatever. I just care that it's basically a respawning target dummy, which is great for me. Additionally, you'll see that I'm holding on to these Caitlyn's. Now, this might be a bit ratty. You might look at me and be like, damn, this guy's ratting. But basically, the only person in this lobby that I'm really scared of is the Enforcer player. The Enforcer player has the potential to one-shot my backline if they have a Caitlyn too. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Everybody else, I'm pretty sure I'm fine. The only way I lose this fight is if someone can bypass my Renni. Because basically, I have backline access and I have frontline damage in the form of my units. I took Archangels on the Heimerdinger because I'm pretty confident I can ramp up the Archangels a little bit better than the Rabadons. But if you look at this guy, he has a full crit Caitlyn. He has a full crit Caitlyn, and he's playing Enforcers. So if he gets an Enforcer proc, and that Caitlyn shoots my backline and kills my units, like she just one-shots my Heimerdinger or one-shots my Malzahar, I immediately lose all my damage, and I'm going to lose the fight. He also has a Savika, which is really scary for me, because Savika can also have the potential to one-shot my frontline units, because she has like a 1% chance or whatever to do exactly what she did right there. She just shoved one of my frontline units into backline. Thank God it wasn't the Renni. But look, this Caitlyn, boom, she just killed my Heimerdinger. Like, look, if she shoots my Malzahar, don't I lose the fight? Like, thank God that she killed the Heimer and not the Malzahar. But that's why I'm holding on to the Caitlyn's, because if I'm trying to win, that's the only person that beats me is if they hit Caitlyn too. Now, if they hit Caitlyn too, there's still a chance that I win, of course. But this is a direct grief that affects my placement, because I'm looking around. Like, I'm not griefing the TF player. I'm not holding this Loris to make sure he doesn't hit Loris 3, because it doesn't fucking matter to me. Now, I could do it, right? Obviously, it helps out. Like, I can buy the Loris and put it on my bench. It in my shop is also griefing him, but it doesn't matter that much, because if he hits Loris 3, I still beat him. Like, I'm not concerned. There's no way he beats me. Like, the Loris 3 isn't going to make a difference in that fight. He doesn't have TF3. And even if he did, it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm way stronger than him. But either way, I'm griefing the Caitlyn player because 100% the Caitlyn player will beat me. So we just got to be really careful about that. Now, looking at this board and looking at this situation that I've found myself into, I still don't have a 6 cost. If I find a 6 cost, I put it in front of the Jace. What was I going to say? I was going to say something really insightful. I guess I forgot it. Oh, well. Oh, I was going to say, the only other way I can lose is if this guy finds an Enforcer emblem. And there it is. So now he's 8 Enforcers. So now I really have to hold on to these Caitlyn's. Right? I have to hold on to these Caitlyn's like it's going out of style. Here, I think I just mess up. I was kind of tilted that there was an Enforcer emblem on Carousel, so you could kind of see me, like, just get annoyed. But I was looking at what my leftover component was, because I was going to make an item instead of, like, getting one. I got Titans, which is kind of useless. But I should have maybe taken just, like, a mana item or something. Man. But anyways, I'm going to hold on to these Caitlyn's. I'm not going to roll deep right now for Caitlyn, because I technically am 2 lives. So if I can make it, like, if I can live here, I might be able to make it to level 10. Excuse me, level 10 in a turn, which then I might be able to play around a 6 cost or just throw in an extra unit, which will probably be helpful. Even 2 Malzahar 2s with this comp is extremely strong if you're high enough level. So that's another thing you can do on level 9 is just play 2 Malzahar 2s if you find them. But it's okay. I spread out my backline, right? I didn't have to spread out my backline against the Twisted Fate player because he's Twisted Fate. But here I spread out my backline. This guy has a Victor, which is a little bit scary. But my Renni is undying. So this Vi is just stuck on the Renni long enough such that I can survive to kill off the Caitlyn and win the game. So this is a first. Not the best game I've ever played in my life. A little bit sloppy. Obviously, the games are usually sloppy when I'm on stream and when I'm doing stuff like that. But it's all good. Basically, that's how you play around Chem Baron Visionary. You don't go for the deep cash outs. You can just take a 300 and win a lot of the times. This is a first because the Chem Baron cash out worked out well, and I had an early Malzahar. A lot of times you end up just going 4th. You're extremely stable on stage 4, but a lot of times you can get outcapped on stage 5. So it's not a giga instant win every single time. But if things go right, if your Chem Baron goes well, you hit Renni 3 early, you hit Malzahar early, you're usually good. A lot of times you're stabilizing around Heimerdinger 2. But if you don't have Heimerdinger 2 and you have Malzahar 2, that's fine. If you have Morgana 3, that's also fine. Even Vex 3 is good. Basically, any of these units are really great to stabilize around. That's why like stuff like Shop Glitch, even other reroll augments are often really good with this line because you can stabilize really hard around the rerolls and play it similar to a reroll Visionary, but then convert it to a win on level 8 by just like playing around the higher cost units. So you have a lot of opportunities, a lot of options with the comp. And if you want to know more, I did make a little guide on it talking about it. I know that some people really hate Chem Baron and really don't like it because they feel like it's broken. I know that some people, I get a lot of comments saying that Chem Baron is useless and nobody likes to play around Chem Baron and it just sucks and you just have to high roll. I guarantee you, even if you don't get a good Chem Baron item with this particular build, it still works pretty well. It just means that you're not going first. A lot of times it means you're going like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, but you're still able to top 4 pretty reliably with it. The best thing to do when you're playing around this line is, like I said, you want to save enough. Like, I didn't play super well because there was one guy that was griefing a little bit. Like, he was a little bit weak in the early game. And I kind of made sure to, like, I kind of dedicated myself to the open board to make sure that I was, I made to guarantee, like, my loss streak. And I was also really broke, so I had to guarantee the loss streak to make up the econ. So I couldn't just win around in the middle of stage 3 or something like that. Because of that, I had to take a 300 cash out. A lot of times, if you hit early Chem Baron, especially if you find an early Smeech and you're playing 4 Chem Baron earlier on in the game, you can often decide between your 300 cash out. So if your 300 cash out looks like shit and you're like, ugh, I don't like this item, I got Flesh Ripper, I can't play Flesh Ripper on my units, I'm playing Visionaries, then you can still have the opportunity to play with a little bit of a thinner margin but go to a 400 cash out. This game wasn't a good example of that because I messed up, right? I told you about my catastrophic errors, I went through them with you, but having that little rough patch at the beginning of stage 3 made it so that I was very limited in the options that I had. I kind of had to make sure that I took the 300 cash out, so that's a little bit of a thinner margin in its own right. But even then, I was 26 HP. If I had a Smeech and a Silco, I could have even went for one more loss and then try and win the round after that, which is a little bit riskier, but then just take the 400 cash out, which often gives you much better of a chance to get something juicy that will work for your board. But either way, hopefully that was enjoyable, hopefully that was fun. We'll be back to guides tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm going to do the final how to play guide. I realized I never did a pit fighter guide, so I'm going to do a little pit fighter guide tomorrow. I wanted to do it today, but I was a bit tired, so we're going to do it tomorrow. Have a great day and see ya. Bye bye.